Jiggy Jaguar 24/7. Thanks for listening. Jiggy Jaguar 24/7. Thanks for listening. Jiggy Jaguar 24/7. Thanks for listening. Jiggy Jaguar 24/7. Thanks for listening.
Look at that. Holy smokes. I got an intro now. We're making progress,
There we
baby. We're
go.
making progress. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. And just an amazing, amazing guest today. Mark J. Quann? Did I butcher that last name?
Yeah, just like Jerry Maguire, the Quann.
Holy smokes. Usually I'm Jiggy Jag, the ugly American, so I butcher everybody's freaking names. It doesn't matter where they come from, what they do, whether they are natural born citizens or people who have come here from other countries. I screw everybody's names up. So I am happy that I didn't get yours today, baby. But Mark is the author of Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes. Use the buy, borrow, die strategy to get rich and stay rich. And he joins us today here on our big program. So, Mark, first of all, I want to talk about the good old government shutdown where everybody and their brother was like, oh my God, the government is shutting down, which I have yet to be impacted by it. But I know that there are if you watch all the news channels, everybody's hair's on fire. But one of the things that I wanted to have you on today to discuss is how the government shutdown will impact people's wallets. Talk to us a little bit about this, my man.
You know what? I look at the government sort of like X before it was Twitter. Like any day the government's shut down seems like a good day for me. I mean, it's a good day for my wallet. I mean, look at that. How does the government run? You give them $1 billion, and even if they don't need it, they're going to spend $1 billion because they have to spend the billion, otherwise it doesn't renew it next year, right? So there's
Yes.
a incentive to literally blow everything. Every tax dollar they can grab out of the American hands is another one they're going to spend. If you gave them $2 billion the next year and they only spent $1 billion at the end of the year, they would just go spend $1 billion to try and get it renewed. So any day that the government's closed seems like a good day for me. Like it just is, it's just, and
Seems
again,
like a good day for me. That is amazing.
so as any day the IRS is closed, oh man, that's just great, right? Now
Any day
I
the
do know how to
IRS is
legally
closed,
avoid
it's a
taxes
good
using
day
all
for
IRS
me,
tax
baby.
codes, but yeah, I have no. If we just cut the government like 30%, just cut it out. Leave the essential things. Obviously, don't cut Medicare, Social Security,
Well,
all
yeah.
those things. But yeah, cut down the government permanently. I would. It needs to be need to be cut down a little bit, in my opinion. I mean, so.
So we have got a great guest with us today. Mark joins us here on our broadcast. His latest book is Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes. Use the buy, borrow, die strategy to get rich and stay rich. And this is your fourth book. Talk to us, first of all, about the whole process of writing four books, because I've interviewed authors that had barely written one. So the fact you've written four is pretty damn amazing, my man.
Oh, here's the cool part is I hated school and I hated reading. So to this day, I'm author of 4 books. I've written 2 Amazon bestsellers, but I've never gotten a high school diploma. I have 0 high school diplomas. I
Amazing.
went to college for a little bit, 2.5 years for
I went
business.
to college for a little bit.
I did for business and finances. I was like, this is a scam. So after 2.5
This
years,
is a scam.
absolutely. I was like, student loans, credit cards, all that stuff they're hawking. Go get a job, work for the government, whatever. Go work for a bank. I was like, I'm out of here. So I left Canada. I'm Canadian originally. I left Canada like
Canada.
25 years ago for American Dream. Went to California. Got a job as a security guard for $6 an hour. Became a private investigator. Used to chase people around with a video camera. But then when the bankers, the banksters, as we call them, crushed the economy with all that corruption and all that crazy stuff, I decided I'm going to write a book. Right? I was like, I don't know how I'm going to write a book. I hate reading, and I never got a high school diploma, but I'm going to write a book. Took me 5 years. It was brutal. It was like 5 years of going back and forth with consultants. It cost me like over 20 grand to write my first book. Rich Man, Poor Bank, What the Banks Don't Want You to Know About Money. I said, I'm never going to write a book again. That was, 2018. I ended up in the hospital having a minor heart surgery. And I woke up and I was on Norcos and I just thought of a book.
Jesus.
So I wrote up the whole, like, the book. I could write so fast on Norcos. It's insane, right? So I wrote the format for a book called Top 10 Ways to Avoid Taxes. It's like the basics of tax avoidance. Coronavirus, wrote my third book. And then my fourth book was actually, I built a financial education company in the past 4 years, and Newsmax emailed me one day and said, hey, would you write a book to prove that ordinary Americans can use the buy, borrow, die strategy? I said, yes, I've already taught it to over 300 ordinary Americans. So I spent 10 months on that, like night and day, had some help and wrote Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes. And we've proven it works. We have over 500 ordinary Americans doing it. And this is what I do every day. I teach Americans the same strategy that billionaires use, and we show people how to do it with $100 in a brokerage account. Just $100 to start, so anybody can do it.
Wow. That is pretty damn amazing. We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big program. And Mark's latest book, Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes, is now available. And so the title of your book, Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes, is a very bold one. What inspired you to write this book, and what's the core message behind the buy, borrow, die strategy?
Okay, so the buy, borrow, die strategy isn't new. It goes back to the Great Depression when there was a banker named Mark Pat Monroe, okay? And the Great Depression was happening, the market was down 90%, and there's a banker who went to all of his clients, they were farmers and things, and he said, hey, I'm going to show you how to make lots of money. But they're like, we don't have any money. He's like, well, I'll lend you $2,000 to go buy Coca-Cola. So he lent them $2,000 to buy Coca-Cola stock because the banker knew that Coca-Cola was going to come back up again. But then he said, hey, I'll lend you $2,000. It'll be secured by your stock. So the stock, the 2,000 was they lent him another 2,000 secured by the stock, and the farmers built their farms in Coca-Cola, and they all became millionaires. It's the biggest concentration of millionaires ever created in the history of America, and there were a bunch of farmers and regular folks in Quincy, Florida. So the strategy has been used for 100 years to create billionaires. I was in the financial industry for 15 years. You'll never learn this strategy. I was an investment advisor teaching financial advisors. You won't learn it. You won't learn it as a CPA. It was coined at the University of Southern California in the 1990s. You won't learn it at USC. Even the professor who coined the phrase won't teach it to his students. You won't learn it at Pepperdine, Yale, Harvard, anywhere. It's simple. You can buy stocks in your iPhone, and if you never sell them, you never pay taxes for the rest of your life. You can just keep buying stocks. If you need money, you take a low interest loan secured by the stocks. That's essentially new money that was created in a computer as debt, but that's money that's never been taxed. So the stock grows with no tax. You take loans which are never taxed. You could buy businesses, real estate, anything like that. And under IRS tax codes, when you die, you can die with up to $30 million. So if you added up your business, your houses, your stocks, ETFs, real estate, Bitcoin, precious metals, 30 million, you just die and it all passes to your heirs 100% tax-free. Buy, borrow, die. Very simple strategy. And like I said, I show people how to start it with $100 invested in their iPhone.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just amazing. We have got a great guest with us today. Mark Quann joins us here on our broadcast. He's the author of Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes. Use the buy, borrow, die strategy to get rich and stay rich. And he joins us live here on our big program. So the buy, borrow, die, this is an intriguing piece of business, just from everything you just explained there. How did you come up with this?
During coronavirus, I know how to invest. So I saw the stock market crashing. I was pretty skeptical about coronavirus, to be honest with you. I thought it was total BS from the day I first saw it, to be honest with you. Okay. So I was betting down on the stock market, and when it hit the bottom, I bet up. And I went on Instagram and I started posting all my trades. And people were saying, "You're crazy. You're investing during this time." I said, "Yes, I'm investing because I don't think this thing is what it is, right?" So I bet heavily on it, and I made a lot of money. And but my company shut down. So I was like, "Oh, what do I do now?" So I started a financial education company. We called it the Perfect Portfolio. And at that time, I was borrowing on margin at 2% interest. And I was buying what's called a covered call ETF that paid a 12% dividend. And I was like, this is too good to be true. I can buy something that pays a 12% dividend and it's the stock market, but I can borrow at 2% interest. Okay. So I started doing that and we started teaching this. And then we spent 4 years on it. We taught over 500 people of every income, every age. I've got my youngest student is 18. My oldest student is 95. Used to be a fighter pilot, and he's learning these strategies. So then the company just started to explode because everything you've ever been taught from your financial advisor, especially from financial advisors, by the way, we should talk about that one. CPAs, financial advisors, all the financial education and that goes to CPAs and to financial advisors, it comes from a private company. It's a private company set up by the banks, funded by the banks. They regulate themselves and they produce all the financial education. So if somebody believes I need to go to school, get good grades, get a job, work hard, pay my taxes, save money, get good credit, fund a retirement account so I can retire one day and pay my home off quick, that's the trap. You're never going to win. It's mathematically impossible to win. That's why you see so many people falling into poverty, because the system wasn't created to help them get wealthy. The bankers or banksters, the wealthiest people on the planet, are doing what I do. They buy assets, they never sell them. They borrow, circumventing the US tax system, and then they die tax-free. They're all doing that, but they're all teaching the entire population, save money, get good credit, fund a retirement account, pay your home off quick, all that stuff. It's mathematically impossible to win when you're doing that. It's keep you on the treadmill forever to keep paying taxes, hammer you in taxes when you retire, which triggers the taxes on your Social Security, which is a triple taxation. And then when you die, you pass all those same bad methodology to your children, and you also pass your tax problems to your children. So you can't win with a retirement account.
Absolutely amazing. We have got a great guest with us today. So I want to pick up on something that you just touched on, and that's investment bankers.
Okay.
Give us your thoughts on this, because you obviously have something you want to say.
Okay. So first of all, where did the word retirement come from? Somebody had to create it, right?
Yeah.
Why did they create the word retirement? Well, to convince the population it is totally normal to go work for a corporation your entire life and slave away and pay taxes. Okay. Then they had to create the word retirement account, didn't they? Who created that word? Big government and Wall Street. What did they create it for? To keep you paying massive amounts of taxes working and then defer all your income taxes in a retirement account. Okay. Keeps you working till you're 65 or 70, paying the tax man. And your retirement account is totally tax deferred, 100% regular income tax rates. I mean, you're locking yourself into the highest income tax brackets for the rest of your life, guaranteeing it. Then you're teaching your children to do the same. So the term financial advisor is also completely fraudulent. Here's why. The term fiduciary means that if I'm a fiduciary, I need to do the best thing for my client all the time, correct? With no conflicts of interest. But most financial advisors work for a publicly traded company that has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders. So if somebody calls himself a fiduciary, but they're working for a company that has a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders, that by definition is fraud. It's impossible to be a effective financial advisor when you're working for a publicly traded company, because their whole responsibility is to maximize profitability for the shareholders. So people think they have a financial advisor. No, they don't. They have somebody maximizing profitability for the shareholders. They don't know that either. If you could line up 100 financial advisors and say, "Are you a fiduciary?" They say, "Yes, I do the best thing for my client all the time." They have no idea that their boss and their boss has secret meetings where they talk about how they're maximizing profitability. And I sat in some of those meetings when I was a financial advisor on the company corporate trips when I was training financial advisors, and I wanted to throw up. So it was in 2018, I resigned from the financial industry and said, I don't want to be part of this corrupt system. I want to do my own thing. I want to keep writing books, and I want to build my own company. And here I am today. So I'm financially independent. I never have to work. This is what I do for fun. I teach ordinary Americans. I also have a lot of wealthy clients too. Wealthy people call me and go, wow, my financial advisor and CPA don't know what they're talking about. Can you help me? So I do a lot of, I don't discriminate. I work for poor people, for people that don't have a lot of money, and I work for people that have a lot of money too. So, and they pay me a lot of money to help them avoid taxes. And it is possible to pay zero taxes. You use business structure, all the tax codes there. You structure as a buy, borrow, die strategy, stocks and ETFs, life insurance, real estate, cryptocurrency, precious metals. And then you basically use buy, borrow, die, and then you use real estate. There's lots of tax codes in real estate that can wipe out your tax liabilities. So your income is not taxed. You're investing it, which isn't taxed because you never sell. When you borrow from it, that's never taxed. And then when you die, it's taxed. So it is possible. Most CPAs say it's not possible, but the CPAs don't get the most CPA. 99% of the CPAs and financial advisors would have no idea what that strategy is. And if a financial advisor learned it and they taught it to them, they'd be fired for called selling away. So if they ever taught their client this strategy and mentioned it, they'd be fired immediately for what's called selling away. And then they're blacklisted from the financial industry for the rest of their life if they disclose any of this information to their clients.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's how the system really works, right? So make sure you're indoctrinated in school, right? You don't learn anything in school, but the banks and government want you to know. You go to college, now they crank you in student loans, teach you to save money, get good credit, get a bank account, all that stuff, right? Then they tell you to go get a job and then put a retirement account. All these things are the trap. They are just use buy, borrow, die. I don't have a retirement account. I don't have a 401k. I have a brokerage account invested heavily in quantum computing and artificial intelligence and tech stocks, and makes insane returns. I'll never pay taxes, and I borrow money. I could literally live off the borrow button, and I'll never pay taxes for the rest of my life. This is how rich people do it, but anybody can do it. I've proven it. Anybody.
That is amazing.
Yeah, we have 500 people using it. Give me 2 more years, I'll have 30, 40, 50,000 ordinary Americans using this strategy.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So your book encourages readers to rethink how they view money and taxes. How important is mindset when it comes to building wealth?
There's a saying that thinking is just a recycling of the data you've gathered in the past. Correct?
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
If everything you've ever been taught in your life about finances and money was corrupted, so you're not going to win, you're going to have a very tough time going and talking to friends and family and just people, CPAs and most CPAs and financial advisors are going to die at their desk. You're like, really? I'm going to that person to get financial advice? That seems kind of strange.
I'm going to that person.
I used to be the financial advisor for CPAs, and I thought it was very weird that I didn't know how to get financially independent through investing. I never heard of buy, borrow, die, and the CPA didn't know how to retire. They needed their Social Security, right, or an inheritance. So I was just very skeptical about the system. So wrote that book. And yeah, you thinking is just a recycling of the data you gathered until you actually are willing to replace this. You have to unlearn before you can learn. You have to delete the files. And the crazy thing is not 1% of the population will do this. It's not even that. Most people will never even entertain the idea. They'll shut it down immediately. They'll go talk to their friends and family who might work until they die. They'll ask their CPA and financial advisor who are actually miseducated themselves, and they won't do it. So I'm not worried about it. Like maybe 1% of the people listening to this might do it. Maybe. Most people will never do it because they've just been indoctrinated their entire lives and they have no idea why. It's the Matrix, man. It's the Matrix. It's blue pill, red pill.
Matrix, man.
It is. This is the red pill. People live in a matrix, and yes, they are slaves. There are. Freedom is the ability to act, speak, and think however you want without hindrance or restraint. If you're not totally free, guess what you are? You're a slave. You can't get up in the morning and say what you want, do what you want, act how you want, think how you want, without hindrance, right? You're technically, by definition, in the dictionary, a slave. So I don't mean, people don't like to hear that, but so I basically, by teaching buy, borrow, die, you give them freedom. You give them the actual tax codes that are approved by the IRS. You can build wealth tax-free, retire at any age, and you can become free. But most people won't do it.
It's amazing.
Just being honest with you here. Like, I get this question all the time. They go, well, what if everybody learned this strategy and nobody would pay no taxes? Don't worry about it. Most people will never do it.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I wish they would. I wish they would listen to me, but they won't.
As we wrap up here,
yeah,
where can listeners pick up Be Smart, Pay Zero Taxes, and learn more about what you do with the Rimley Group?
Okay, so the companies that our parent company's Remy Group, Perfect Portfolio is our company, theperfectportfolio.com. That's our website. Go to Amazon, search for Pay Zero Taxes. The book will pop up. We got it on Audible, Kindle. We got the hard copies out there. I have a ton of YouTube content. Search my name, Mark Quann, or just The Perfect Portfolio. I have tons of videos on this content. I've interviewed some of the top creators of investment accounts in the world. I've interviewed them on my channels. I've got tons and tons of endless content on this stuff. I'm producing it every single day. And I can tell you that every single student, all 500 of them, not with zero exceptions, are winning, and I could line them up on 500 people and say that they're doing this strategy any day. So it is life-changing. Okay, it absolutely is. So anyways, I believe in it a little bit. I will be doing this at 95. So my goal is to create 1 million new millionaires. I think it'll maybe take me about 10 years.
Wow. We have got a great guest for this.
Not sure if we lost you there. Not sure what's going on.
Okay, so that is the one drawback. If a random crank caller or a one of these people who want to sell me health insurance,
oh nice,
it knocks me out of the StreamYard.
No worries.
I'm learning all sorts of things today, my man. So finally, Mark, if you could sum up your financial philosophy in one line, what would it be, my man?
Take everything you've ever learned in the financial industry, everything, and dump it, and learn the basics of buy, borrow, die. That's it. You have to, as the great Yoda said, you have to unlearn.
The great Yoda.
Right? The great philosopher, unlearn before you must learn, which is true. So unlearn and just learn it. Learn the basics, man. Start with $100. Like my team would literally show you how to do it in your own brokerage account. Jump on Zoom, we'll show you how to do it. Put $100 in there, kick the tires on it, and see if it works. So,
wow,
yeah.
I have somebody that I would love for you to be able.
Yeah, totally. Test it out. Throw me somebody. I'll show you it works.
Because she is horrible at managing money.
Yeah. Best thing about buy, borrow, die is you can kind of have both, right? Let's say you're like, oh, I need the new iPhone, right? I gotta have that iPhone. So let's say it's $1,000, right? You force yourself to save $2,500. You invest money and buy $2,500 of the stocks, and then you press the borrow button. It gives you a low interest loan. It's $1,000. Go buy your iPhone, right? You didn't have to work for the money, but you still invested $2,500. So you can kind of have both. You can invest and then spend. I'll give you another example. We show people how to do this when they tithe to their church. Rather than tithe to your church with your money, invest all that money, and then press the borrow button, donate that to your church. It's a double tax deduction. You get to donate to the church, and you get to stick it to the government.
Baby.
It's a double tax deduction. So we show people how to do this stuff too. So we want to fund churches and charities and teach this stuff. Stick it to the man and donate to your church and charity. So.
Stick it to the man and donate to church and charity. Mark, you've been amazing. Thanks for making some time. I definitely will be in touch, my friend. You are amazing.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show. I enjoy this stuff. I don't mean if you notice that, I kind of enjoy this stuff.
Hey, I will definitely have you back because you are a wealth of knowledge, my man. So. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day. We'll talk to you
too,
soon.
man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.